What is up, everyone? Circon here, bringing you guys Advent Calendar Day 13. So what do we got today? We got the T50TP Prototype, the Polish Tier 8 heavy tank. The tech tree was released this year, I believe, right? And as usual, it comes with 25 missions for 5 victory, times 5 XP for each victory, 30 days premium account, and 3,500 gold. And it comes with a style as well. That it's a style. It's not on the tank directly, so you can actually turn this off and just make it look the way you want. It's kind of nice that they've went in that direction instead of how it used to be with like the Defender, where it had a camo that you could not turn off and stuff like this. So this is basically the natural progression of that. It's 46 bucks, quite a lot of money. If you're gonna buy it with gold, it's gonna be almost 39 euros, almost 40. How good is the tank itself? I actually didn't really like this tank too much when I was playing it. However, some of you might. It has a 122 millimeter cannon with 440 alpha instead of the 390. 0.4 dispersion, the 3-second aiming time, 218 base spin, and it has, I believe, yes, APCR 245, which is actually pretty nice that it's APCR, not heat. And 170 hull armor, 220 turret. It has 35 top speed, so not that fast, obviously. 14 power to weight, which it's not as low as it can go at tier 8, but it's pretty low. 380 fuel range, which is nice. 10 degrees of gun depression, but as you'll see with the model, it's that the gun depression of 10 is only to the sides, and then once you go above, it is 8. So it's 8, 4 in the back, 8 in the front, 10 to the sides. So keep that in mind, don't just look at the paper stats. And that's because of the the commander, or sorry, not the commander, the driver's hatch here is huge, and that's in the way of the gun. Armor-wise, 178 lower plate, upper plate is really good, and then the driver's hatch is also kind of a weak spot against certain guns. If you go over like 230-ish bend, you can bend that as well. The turret is really strong. The cupola is a weak spot at 200 to 170, 179. So that is a kind of a weak spot. The sides are pretty bad at 180 actually, or 150, sorry. If you hit the back of the turret, you're pretty much toast. And the hull is actually pretty straightforward. It's not a V-shaped hull as far as I know. It's a bit bugged here, thanks to GG. But yeah, the other thing that's pretty troll about it, if you're playing it, and it's just a small tip if you're playing it, if you're going around the corner like this, right, like this, people sometimes try to track you here, and that will be no damage. And if they shoot you here, it will also be no damage because there's no tank behind it. So you can sometimes kind of get those troll things that you can also do in like an ARL 44, where people only shoot the tracks and do no damage, even the inside ones. And even if they did hit the inside ones, it's still relatively fucking good armor here, so. Can be pretty troll around corners and stuff like that. It's something to keep an eye out for. And of course, 10 degrees of gun depression is always nice, especially in a heavy tank like this that is not even that big, so. Can work the ridge lines fairly well. And the main reason I didn't like this tank too much is because the gun probably just trolled the ever-living shit out of me. And I actually like the tech tree version a lot more, which is a completely different tank. Anyway, fully kitted out, you're going to want optics, you're going to want the gun rammer and third steps, because there is no equipment options in Riddle tanks anymore, or were there ever. This is with food as well. If you remove the food though, we're still at 448 fuel range because of the 380 base with a really good crew. Browser arms, recon, and situational awareness of course. It goes up to 2200 DPM, which is perfectly average. 38 dispersion, still pretty shit. 2.8 aiming time is a bit meh as well. And yeah, the power to weight goes down a little bit because of the equipment we put on there, but that's fine. So do I recommend this tank? I recommend the tank if you already have played the Polish tanks and you are at tier 8 or 9 and you're like, man, if only I could make some credits whilst playing these tanks, because this thing is basically, in terms of the hull, pretty much like the tier 9 in terms of the shape. Maybe not so much the armor, but in terms of the shape and the gun depression beams, it's like the tier 9. Quite a bit like the tier 9. It's not at all like the tech tree tier 8, which is kind of like an outlier in the tech tree, I feel like. But yeah, if you do like the Polish heavies, and, you know, you already have the tier 9, maybe even already the tier 10, and you like the way they play, then, you know, this is the tank for you. If you haven't touched any Polish tanks at all, I would not recommend this tank. It's not one of those things you could easily get into. You need a pretty good crew for it as well. Speaking of crew, by the way, just as a side note, Commander is also the radio guy and gunner driver loader, which is, I think, exactly the same as the regular tier 8, so just to take a quick look here. Oh, there we go. Yeah, exactly the same. Commander radio, gunner, drive, loader. So that's the exact same. And this is the tank I actually really like, the tech tree one. It just still bugged the tanks to GG. Rip. Anyway, so I recommend it if you really like the Polish tanks and the way they play. I can't really recommend it to just buy it to get started with the Polish line. I can't really recommend it. It's too much of an investment. I did, however, do a review on this not too long ago, September 18. So I'll put a link in that in the description or, on the screen right now if you want to check it out. Anyway, that was Advent Calendar Day 13. Hope you enjoyed my video so far. Hopefully it'll be a better deal tomorrow. Catch you guys then. Peace out.